Season's greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here, and welcome to another one of my solo editions of Christmas in July, the show where I go over and review a Christmas special for you guys each and every day of the month. Well, yeah, unfortunately, I did kind of have to drop the ball on that a little bit yesterday, which was Friday, July 11th. Week after the 4th, because I don't know, I just had a migraine that day and I just was not feeling good. And I did do a show with Monkey and myself where we discussed all the things going on with the new Alice in Wonderland dark ride that's come back from refurbishment at Disneyland. Did the Queen of Hearts animatronic make it in there, or even the Hatbox Ghost? You'll just have to watch the video to find out. But anyways, so yeah, I just figured, you know, since I was late for one day, why don't we crack two birds with one stone? And the first episode that we are going to be reviewing tonight is the one that I actually teased about reviewing when we were doing the Mary Madagascar episode. I said, oh yeah, I'm coming on doing Futurama Xmas story. So, indeed, I've got all the notes for this sucker, so let's kind of go through this thing. I'm not gonna in my solo reviews go quite as much for the angle of recapping every little thing that happens beat by beat. I'll try to be as descriptive as possible, but my main goal here is to kind of point out some of the interesting little connections to Christmas formulas and whatnot, and maybe even some things in this episode that break the Christmas formula mode. But, you know, I'll definitely be going over my favorite jokes and everything. And then after I'm done with that, I'm going to take a quick little, I don't know, maybe 15-minute break here or there or so, and then I will return with another very special episode of Christmas in July, and I will tell you guys about that towards the end of the show. So, all right, so with that in mind, you guys, do you want to blast off to the year... Oh God, is it 3001? I forget the timeline on Futurama, but as the guy appropriately says, are you ready to blast off to the world of tomorrow? All right, let's go. Let's do it. So we see the Futurama jingle, and it is very jingly indeed because it's kind of I don't want to say it's Jingle Bells, but it's just very. It's like basically a sleigh bell version of the Futurama theme, which is really interesting and cool. Yeah, I like cool, interesting themes and whatnot. So then the episode literally opens with frickin' Conan O'Brien doing terrible comedy. And I must admit, I totally was a person who was a Conan fan back in the day. You know, I would stay up. I would even write down quotes of his and then have, like, on one of my forums, have, like, a Conan quote of the night on my signature. I'm not making that up. That's how much I like Conan. And speaking of me liking Conan, the thing that actually got me to dislike Conan was when he got away from the legendary drummer that I believe made his whole shtick work, Mr. Max Weinberg. And yeah, unfortunately, in the special, Max Weinberg is just a skull sitting in a jar. And I guess that explains it, right? That explains what happened to Max. All right, no more, no more wondering about that. Woohoo! But anyways, everyone of the Planet Express gang, they're a little bit disgruntled because they just spent some money on the moldy act of Conan O'Brien and his moldy antics, as the professor would say. So, the professor, he basically strips off all his clothes and starts skiing, and then everyone kind of goes on a skiing trip. So let's see, I think the most memorable part of this whole thing is when Bender is kind of skiing on the off-road trail, and there's a security guard that comes off to him, and he's like, "You're skiing on the wrong side of the trail." Bender, of course, he gives a good bite nice shiny metal ass, and he falls off a cliff. But then what's down at the bottom of the cliff? Oh well, it's a great sight gag. I mean, I think it's clear that the Peanuts Christmas is one of the more influential just because of how much it keeps popping up. But there it is. It's just a bunch of kids, like ice skating and the whole like Christmas time is played and everything, and then boom, Bender drops down, pretty much drowns the kids. All right, we're gonna have a Merry Christmas with this one, folks. So right off the bat, you can kind of tell that this has been the one so far out of every Christmas episode we've reviewed on Christmas in July that basically is starting to kind of make fun of the formula a little bit. I mean, arguably you had stuff like The Simpsons, but The Simpsons was more heartfelt. This is more just like, all right, what can we do with a Christmas episode to really twist it up? So let's see. After that, we have a bit more antics. There's a great moment with Hermes going down a bobslide, and oh god, a bobsled, I should say. And it's just Cool Runnings is such an awesome movie, and I just love when they make reference to it. But Hermes, he goes down the slide. Bender laughs at Hermes, and then, oh no, Bender slips down the slide. And then, Fry, he's standing there. He's getting a crack out of it, and then he's just like, what the hell? So he goes down the slide too, just belly first. So really like that. You kind of get into Fry's character right away. Fry, all Fry's about really with this special is wanting to relive the sort of holiday joy that he experienced back before he got frozen in the show's pilot. So, that's a little bit of a plot. But then, let's see. So meanwhile, back at the ski lodge, Amy is flirted up with all the guys who have bandages and injuries, and she's literally just like moving from a guy who has a leg cast to a guy with a full body cast, being like, hello. So yeah, nice little development on Amy there. It's like, I guess she's going to be in just full-time slut mode this episode. Yay! So Fry, he wants to chop down an Xmas tree, and so they go to a palm tree farm. And Fry's just like, no, what about a fir tree? And of course, fir trees have been extinct, unfortunately, along with poodles. Why? Why did you get rid of the poodles? What about Mr. Chew? Think of Mr. Chew from the Madagascar special. Anyways, I digress. So, let's see. I'm sorry, let me just find my notes. So Amy, they're all, back at the Planned Express. They're all getting ready for Christmas Eve and whatnot. Of course, mark that one off our little holiday cliché list, because Christmas Eve, definitely another one of, another classic, like, oh ho ho, it's the day before Christmas. So so they're all getting ready, they're all decorating. Amy, she's got like a booster jetpack, and she flies up to get the star on the tree. It hits her head, and just a bunch of stuff going on in this scene. Let's see. Fry's reminiscing. Bender, for some reason, wins Xmas. This must just be a joke that I just completely forgot. It's been a day since I've seen this special. Okay, so let's see. Bender, he has, he has many songs, I guess. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's the cards. There's the cards that get passed around. And, yeah, that's right. I guess that's how Bender wins Christmas, because he's the one with the cards. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Zoidberg, he's got a letter from his Uncle Forberg, and look, he spelled Santa Claus with K, with C-L-A-W-S, with these kind of claws. Ho ho ho, Cobby, genius that man was. John Zoidberg is by far my favorite character on Futurama, so let me just say right now, the few brief bits he does get in this episode are amazing. So, anyways, Fry, he's really getting kind of, kind of down in the dumps because everyone's getting their cards, and of course his family has been dead for almost a century, kind of the big, kind of the big crux of this whole character. And so what's he do? He goes around and he just essentially demands sympathy, especially from Leela, who he just walks in a very out-of-character scene where he's just like, Leela's just sitting on the couch. She's like basically crying about being an orphan, and then Fry walks in and he's like, "Hey, Leela, come on, show me a little sympathy." I'm just like, oh wow, they're kind of going out of their way to make Fry a jerk there, but I don't know. Let's see who is the Scrooge in this whole equation. Is it Fry for being kind of mean? No, I don't think so, because he sees the error of his ways right away, and he wants to make it up, and he has basically the biggest spirit of Christmas out of all of them. Is it Zoidberg? No, it's not Zoidberg, because Zoidberg is probably the best, the most well-behaved out of all of them this episode, so it can't be Dr. Zoidberg. He gets a pogo stick. Is it Amy with her flirtatious ways? Well, I don't know, maybe, except that she doesn't really get a ton to do in this episode, so probably not. Is it Farnsworth with his constant streaking? Nah, it is just getting into the mood. I mean, come on, cut him some slack, really. I guess that leaves the Scrooge is, say it with me, the evil Santa himself. Oh boy, and of course, anyone who's seen the Futurama Christmas special knows that this is really the big part of the episode. Any other gag is just sort of like, the Conan O'Brien stuff at the beginning. It's just all building up to this, because it's just a great concept. It's essentially a Terminator-esque. It's like a Terminator-esque robot Santa who was designed to perform 50 mega checks per second on his naughty and nice list. But of course, like any supercomputer, those standards just got way out of line, and he eventually ruled out that everyone was naughty. Oh no. And guess who voices this robot Santa? Because I had no idea. I always just assumed it was John DiMaggio, because the voice does sound like Bender, so that's kind of what I always assumed it was, but no, it's freaking John Goodman, man. It's freaking Walter. Like, holy crap. I saw that on the credits. I was like, wow, it's kind of fun to go back on some of these, you know what I mean, when you just had no idea that such a big celebrity guest was doing a part. Oh, it's funny. So anyways, I guess I should kind of set up some of the other plot lines. First of all, it's established that Fry, of course, he's got the classic. He's basically got Helga's storyline from the Hey Arnold Christmas. He has wronged someone, and he needs to go out and get a great Christmas present on Christmas Eve to right everything. And so, but not after considering the advice of Zoidberg. Oh, why don't you just do the apology dance? And so, Zoidberg's like doing like all these weird crab movements, and I like that Fry's actually kind of trying to keep track of them. Okay, but anyways, Mr. Bending Rodriguez, what's he up to for Christmas? Well, of course, he's freeloading. I mean, aren't you surprised? Like, come on, tell me. You're probably having a heart attack and dying from not being surprised. The only thing kind of surprising about Bender is that I don't necessarily think he's the Scrooge. He is, I don't know, but let's kind of just explore that a little bit. Like, so he shows up at the robot homeless shelter, and he's just basically, all right, I guess maybe he's a little bit of a Scrooge because he's taking stuff for himself, he's he's basically hoarding over the robot booze. Basically like stealing stuff from behind people's backs, getting like multiple portions, just essentially making an ass out of himself. But then, along comes, appropriately enough, Tinny Tim. Yes, Tinny Tim, the poor crutched robot from Futurama who bears a striking resemblance to Tiny Tim. Oh yes. Tinny Tim comes in. He wants, please, sir, can I have some more? And of course, unfortunately, there's no more to be had. So Tinny Tim's all down in the dumps. But Bender's like, "Don't worry, Tinny Tim. We're gonna go and we're gonna make this right." So essentially, what Bender and Tinny Tim do, along with one other robot that I kind of forget who's in the mix there. I don't even know if he's like a main named robot or something like that. But they're all out going caroling. So meanwhile, Fry, he was warned about evil Santa before he left to go get Leela a gift, but I don't know, I guess in a way he just didn't believe them because his idea of Santa Claus is just, of course, I love how he's like, how everyone's like, "You don't know about Santa?" And Fry's like, "Oh, I know about Santa." So, of course, we get the whole Terminator-esque backstory with Santa. And Fry, let's see, what is the gift that Fry gives to Leela? Do I have that on my notes? Oh, God. Touchstone papers. Oh, yeah, Fry gets the, oh, God, he wanders into a pet store that, by the way, has Bongo from Life in Hell in it, the bunny rabbit, and it also has just all these crazy, like, kind of creepy spliced animals. Like there's a couple of tiny giraffes and whatnot. It's just, I don't know. It almost kind of reminds me of something out of the Gremlins movie or something like that. But Fry, he buys a parrot for Leela, and wouldn't you know it, the parrot literally runs off immediately after Fry leaves the pet store. So Fry has to go and retrieve the parrot. The parrot's on top of a giant digital clock tower, which is, not a traditional clock, but more of a, radio clock, so it's got the numbers clearly displayed. So this is a great kind of fun scene. It kind of harkens back to, I don't know, something like Chaplin, or also maybe something like early Coen Brothers, like Hudsucker Proxy or something like that, which I guess would make sense given John Goodman and John Goodman's connection. I don't know. But, Fry's hanging off, let's see, I think he's hanging off from a 3. And then the 3 becomes a 4, and he's hanging on to, like, the gap on the 4. And then the gap, and then it becomes a 3, so I guess it starts 5, then goes 4, then goes down to 3. And I don't know, maybe it's point being, at some point Fry runs out of number to grab onto, and so, oh no, he looks like he's gonna fall to his death. But no, Leela's there to save him just at the last minute because she felt guilty that he was gonna basically risk his life to give her a card. So that's a nice moment. Leela and Fry save each other. Of course, the bird's still not in the picture, but what are you gonna do? It's like they got the present that they wanted all along in the first place. So then, after the homeless robots kind of get into a bit of trouble with an old lady and whatnot, Fry and Leela also run into Santa Claus. And yeah, I don't know, the Santa Claus in the special, it's like, I don't even really have that much to say about it. It just sort of speaks for itself. The design is just awesome. I'm pretty sure it uses some 3D, and it just looks great. It really, it really looks menacing. And then, of course, John Goodman's voice. Just one thing to point out about Santa Claus, I love how he zeroes in on Dr. Zoidberg being the one person who deserves a Christmas present. I love that. I'm like, so let's see, there's one bit where, where he's confronting Fry and I think Bender and Leela, and he's like, "Did even one of you think to get a Christmas present for Dr. Zoidberg?" And then Fry, he's so oblivious, he's like, no, I swear!" And then, so when Santa kind of bursts into the Plant Express at the end of the episode, it's like this big scene, and Santa's just like, "You've all been very, very naughty this year. Except for you, Dr. Zoidberg. This is for you." And so Dr. Zoidberg gets a pogo stick. Yeah, Dr. Zoidberg's really happy. He's like, seriously, I love Dr. Zoidberg's pogo stick. It might be one of my favorite little details in any Futurama episode. It's just, oh, it's just comedy gold. But let's see. Anyways, so yeah, Bender, he's been very naughty for framing an orphan and whatnot. Oh, and one thing to quickly kind of go over before Santa bursts into the Planet Express, they're all having their gift exchange, and I think it's Amy and Hermes that are trading presents with each other. It's basically like this whole gag about how everyone sold each other's hair to buy everyone else a comb. And then it turned out that everyone sold their hair to Dr. Zoidberg, who now has like this bizarre like clump of everyone's hair mixed together. And he also has all the combs. This is a very kind of in-your-face reference to the Gift of the Magi, which is a famous Christmas story. So, yeah, I'm on top of it there. Oh God, let's see. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this episode. You know, like eventually Zoidberg, you know, he uses his pogo stick skills. He claws off the lights, and that basically sends Santa packing. And then it kind of ends with a Christmas meal, a traditional Christmas meal. And so Bender, you know, this is calling back Bender's very questionable cooking skills from I don't know how many episodes ago that was, but oh boy, he's got something that he thinks is going to just, you know, just totally excuse me, there seems to be a dead cat outside my window. You know, Bender just thinks that these people are going to totally eat it up, and instead, of course, it's completely gross. It's literally just a roadkill parrot that's been put in the oven. The visual is rather disgusting. But you know, of course, Tinny Tim, he's always hungry. He wants to go first, and so Bender breaks off a little wing for Tinny Tim, and then oh boy, shut up, cats. And then, oh god, you guys are gonna have to excuse these cats. I'll wrap it up really fast. So Bender, you know, he gives Tinny Tim a wing. He's like, "You got a toenail." And let's see, I forget exactly what. Oh yeah, Nibbler. Nibbler is the one who eats the whole turkey, and everyone laughs at Nibbler. And then Tinny Tim's like, "I'm so hungry." So that pretty much sums up the Futurama Christmas. I mean, what are my overall thoughts about it? To tell you the truth, I thought that Santa was going to be more in it than he was, so I kind of feel like Santa himself was almost sort of just like, okay, we need to have an action scene in here. So I guess on that end, it wasn't really as unconventional as I was expecting. It was more, you know, it was very much like they had the formula of Fry and Leela needing to get each other gifts, and they had the even a good call out to Gift of the Magi. So they know their tropes here. You know, they've got the evil Santa Claus, but this isn't really the first time we've seen an unorthodox Santa Claus. It's certainly the first time we've seen a straight up evil one, but it's not the Santa Claus though. It's a robot Santa, so it doesn't really count, or should it? I don't know. But yeah, that's my review of Futurama Xmas Story. I apologize for not being as detailed and on the ball as I usually am with someone else, you know, because unfortunately Friday and Saturday, nobody can join me on Fridays and Saturdays for these Xmas and Julys. Nobody. So it's so you guys are kind of have to put up with me for the time being while we go through these things. And in the meantime, we just tackled one classic sci-fi Christmas story from the comedy end of the spectrum of sci-fi. How about we tackle a dramatic science fiction Christmas episode? Oh, yes, that's right. Just in a few minutes, I will be returning, and I will be giving you guys my review of the classic Twilight Zone episode, The Night of the Meek, listed by Doug Walker as one of his top 10 favorite Santa Claus. All right, so that should be fun. See you guys later. Look out for that one. Yeah.